again for joining us.
You're welcome.
Love this. All right. One, okay. And everybody, this is being recorded, just so you're aware. All right. Just making sure we got everybody in. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Well, hello, everybody. My name is Colin Miller, Director of Sales over at Pacific Yurts. Really excited to be with you all today, and also excited to have Sherry Wiggins-Baker, also known as Gigi, on the line. So thanks for being here. Gigi, would love for you to introduce yourself as one of our customers.
Hi, yes, my name is Gigi, as Colin said. Biologically, my name is Sherry, but I go by both of them. And I was able to find out about Pacific Yurts back in actually 2021 was when I first heard about them in my search for trying to decide wanting to do a yurt. So that's how I got introduced to you guys in the search of figuring out how I was going to get this yurt put up.
I love it. I love it. Well, everybody, today what we're going to go into is a little bit of Gigi's story. So, as she kind of teed up there, how she found us, what she did, how she decided to go, yes, I'm getting a yurt. And what's actually pretty fun is we've got myself and others from the Pacific Yurts team on the line here. You'll see Jaden, Tammy, and Britt. And in our backgrounds that you'll see, it's actually Gigi's yurt. So that's pretty fun too. We've got some other photos that we can send out afterwards, and we might be able to share some during the meeting today. But just some quick admin stuff. We do have the chat open. If you join, it'd be great if you could go on mute just as we are recording this. And we will, chat with Gigi here, get some information from her. And then after probably about 25, 30 minutes, we'll jump into some Q&A. But feel free to drop in questions in the chat as they pop up, and we'll do our best to address those. Anything that we don't answer during the meeting today, we'll make sure to reach out via email. But once again, thank you everyone for being here. So, Gigi, let's
Yes.
dive into your yurt journey. So you kind of mentioned it a little bit, but maybe tell us, what made you think about yurts in the first place? Where did you decide, okay, I want one of those?
So I was on my health and wellness journey, and I decided I wanted to go to Honduras to see the place where Dr. Sebi was. And when I got there, I noticed that he had these round houses. And so I said, "Oh, this is pretty cool." And then I looked at the spiritual perspective around circular motion and how energy continues to go in a circle. And at that, I wanted one. And so when I came back to Florida, I spoke with the architect department, and it just was cost prohibitive to do one in CBS construction. Originally, I was going to try to do it in Florida, and the cost for just the architectural drawings it was cost prohibitive for me. And I said, I really want this roundhouse. I was calling it a roundhouse at the time. So then I took to the internet and tried to find an alternative, and Specific Yurts came up. And because I just put the search in there, roundhouse, and I said, and then I found out that it was called a yurt. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't even know what a yurt was. And so I began to research it, and that's how I found you guys. And of course, I went to your website, and it was a 2 year process of just researching what's the structure, how do you get it built, what's the foundation. So there was a lot of work that went into it in about a 2 year period.
That's fair, and we see that a lot. I mean, some people they'll give us a call and they're ready to buy right away, but in reality, once we start digging, it's a journey, right? It's okay. I
Yes.
think I want that. Getting a little emotionally tied to it, and then very quickly you get into what you discussed, the nitty gritty details around what is this thing? How do I do it? Is it approved? And do I live in it? Is it just a yurt in the backyard? So tell us a little bit about what you're using the yurt for. I mean, because that's different. We have clients that use it for rentals, play spaces in the backyard, full-time living. So what's your plan with it?
So my plan It's very sentimental for me because the location of the yurt is on our 52 acres in South Alabama. My great great grandfather left the property for our family. And of course, my mom passed away and I inherited the property. So I have a total of 6.65 acres. And so I was jumping in the truck with my cousin coming from Atlanta visiting, and all of a sudden I began to like it. And because I decided that Florida wouldn't be good for the yurt because of the hurricanes, I go, I have to find a location. Where am I going to put it? And then it dawned on me, you can put it on your property in Alabama. So that's how I decided to put it in Alabama on my 6.65 acres that's connected to my cousins. It's a 52-acre area altogether.
Wow.
And I decided retirement. This is where I'm going to retire. So it is going to be full time at the retirement between 6 to 8 months from now. I'll be living in it full time.
Oh my gosh. Are you excited?
I am excited beyond really belief. It's unbelievable. Every time I go and it's time to leave, I don't want to come back to work because I enjoy it so much.
Oh, that is awesome. I mean, who wants to go back to work, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
6 to 8 months, congratulations. That's really exciting. And love that you've made it what it is. I mean, tell us a little bit about, we'll get into like the yurt build itself, but I am curious, and if everybody else is, I'd love to hear about what you decided to put in the yurt, what you decided to add to it in terms of, making it the place that you're going to retire. I mean, because not talking just, hey, I need a bed at this point. Like it's got to be special. It's got to be something that you love every day. So what
That
were your thoughts around that?
So, besides the spiritual connection that I use for the yurt in terms of it being a circular place, I do everything from a perspective of connecting with nature, connecting with people. So, outside of it being a round structure, I decided I wanted everything in the environment also to be as natural as possible. And because the yurt itself lends itself to that because it's one big open space. And although I've decided to put two little small rooms in the back, I decided that it's there in the woods connected to nature as the reason why I chose where it's going to be. In terms of the things I chose, I wanted to be comfortable. I wanted it to be pretty because that's just how I am. So I went with a lot of extras because of that. I wanted to enter both the back part of the yurt as well as the front part of the yurt. I also wanted real windows. And so I did extra to get windows. And then I wanted to be able to, when I'm looking outside, I wanted to see the forest. And so I turned the windows in a certain horizontal instead of putting them all vertical so that when I look outside, I can see the woods. In terms of comfort with reference to the weather, I decided I'm going to pay extra for the insulation, both for the side as well as the top.
Yeah,
And so that's how I ended up deciding what's going to go into the foundation of my yurt.
I like that. So on that insulation piece, I mean, maybe what's the weather like in the location? I mean, I know where Alabama is, but specifically when it comes to the seasons, what sort of weather will you be facing out there?
So during the winter months, and I call that between November and February, it can go anywhere between 32, well, actually, it can get as low as 25. And then in the summer times, it can get as hot as 100, 103. So we have a big range. But for the winter times, it'll get as low as 25, which is what I experienced last week. And then we get snow probably every 4 to 5 years. This past February, we had 13 inches of snow to come through Alabama. So I happened to be there at the time. So that's the weather range, and it gets really hot in the summer.
Okay, and are you using a mini split, a wood stove? Like, what's your temperature control like?
So my temperature control is the mini split, and it has a dry feature because that's one thing I did. I went to your website and I read about how to maintain the yurt, how to take care of it for longevity, and it talked about how to keep the moisture down so that you don't have the issue of mold developing. So I decided that I'm going to use the mini split because it has a dry feature on it, and because
Uh,
temporarily I'm there now only coming and going until I retired full time. I needed something to help me control the environment inside. So that's why I went with the mini split.
I love it. I mean, the whole team over here, we talk mini splits every day, all day. They've become so efficient. I mean, I joke, but I think we are becoming mini split salespeople as well because it's like it for our products, for they're just great. I mean, click of a button, hot, cold, the dehumidifying factor. So that's really good. Awesome.
Yes.
So maybe let's and feel free everybody if you have questions on what Gigi did in terms of features, please plug those in. But I would love to hear Gigi a little bit more around the beginning build process. So you've got your land, you've got the family land. What did you have to do in terms of site prep? Did you have to clear trees? What was that whole process like?
So, as I told you, this was inherited land from my great great grandfather on my mother's side. It was pure virgin property. We're talking about pine trees that are 80 feet tall. And although my family has lived there for over 100 years, nothing was ever done with the land. So I
Mm.
had to start out by clearing the land. I did work with the Alabama Forestry Commission. They put in a fire lane for me. That's something that their program that they have. And so I protected myself from my cousin who's right next to me. So that's what started it about 3 years ago. They came in, they did the fire lane. And once that was done, then I had the vision in my head what this yurt was going to look like in the environment. And so I had all the trees moved. It was it was an arduous task because I had to figure out where it's going to go, how it was going to go, timeline, orchestration of the Alabama Forestry Commission working with me. So I had to clear the land. And so I did clear it. And that took about maybe 6 to 8 months for me to coordinate all of that to get the area in terms of a space large enough for the yurt and then some room around it for the other house buildings that I wanted to put, like my shed and things like that. So the other thing, it was raw, no infrastructure. So I had to make a decision around electricity. I had to make a decision around plumbing. My plumbing piping ran 700 feet from the main.
Wow.
700 feet I had to run the plumbing, including the lighting. The lighting was 500 feet from the main road. And because I wanted to be in the woods. So all of those decisions had to be made.
Okay, Sherry. So question for you. If you're okay with it, like how much did that cost? Because you're living in Florida, the property's in Alabama, and you're clearing multiple acres over 6 to 8 months. Like, what's if you don't mind sharing? I mean, this is one of the big factors a lot of people face when saying, "Okay, I'm ready to do this." They look at the yurt cost, features that, and they go, "Oh, it's going to be 25, 30 grand." And then the real money starts adding up. So if you don't mind sharing, we'd love to hear kind of what that looked like.
That is correct. So just clearing the land, I have to tell you, it cost me 20,000 to clear the land because I am so very remote. And it was hard finding the companies to do it because I was so far in. And I don't want to say that. I'm going to back up just a minute and tell you I originally thought I wanted to make container homes. I started out with container homes. That was the
Okay.
original. And so when I went to Honduras, that kind of caused me to make the transition over to the yurt. And I just have to tell you that I am so glad that I made the decision to do the yurt versus container homes. I'm going to tell you that right now.
We are too.
So, yes. So it was about $20,000 to get the land cleared. And by the way, I have no zoning issues where I have to check in with a zoning board or anything like that because I'm considered a very rural area. So nothing there in terms of permits. The only thing I had to do was to work with the health department when the septic tank went in to make sure that they did the testing of the soil. So that's all I had to do as far as that's concerned. And
Okay.
then with reference to the trees, like I said, it was about $20,000 to get that moved. And I let the land stay at its natural slope. So it is on a slope, and that's why you'll see the bottom of the yurt is about 5 feet tall, and then it goes level to the backside. I left the grade of the land the way that it was.
That I love. And so I guess I'm going to pause real quick and then we'll jump back into that. We've got a question around what type of mini split are you using? Do you know
It's
the brand?
a ACIQ from H. Back Direct. That's who I purchased it from. And it's a 24,000 BTU that I purchased for the yurt. I did a lot of reading in terms of having enough power to cool and heat the yurt. So I decided to go with the 24,000 BTU from Direct, and it's the ACIQ.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, so the keeping the slope of the land, I actually love that myself. One, from a cost aspect of you don't have to get, big heavy equipment to level it, but then
Mhm.
having like a raised platform, raised deck. Tell us about that. I mean, and we can show some pictures here. I'll pull some up, but what is the platform and exterior decking like for you? And what was your decision on why and how to do that?
So with the platform, I decided to go with sonotubes. And one of the reasons I chose the sonotubes and then putting the post inside is because I wanted stability. We do have the water drainage coming down from the top of the where the back door of the yurt is. And so because of that, I decided to put in sonotubes because I felt it was a little bit more stable than the regular small piers. So that was a little bit more work. And my cousin and I, by the way, over a 2-year period, it took us 2 years to build the platform. And I know some people do DIY, they can have it done in a week or 2 weeks. But I had to take PTO off from work here in Florida, and he would tell me, "Hey, I have time off. I'm going to be at the yurt. So can you, the yurt site, can you meet me there?" And then I would purchase a ticket, fly to Atlanta, jump in the truck with him, and head there. So the platform we did over a 2-year period. And the first day I was able to get the first 15 sonotubes down. Here's another thing I'm going to suggest. Follow the plans that Specific Yurts gives you in terms of materials, how things are laid out. We followed everything to the T so that we didn't have any structural problems once the yurt went up. So we followed all those instructions. We read them. We had the instructions on site with us, my cousin and I. But that's what we decided to do: go with the sonotubes to get the platform up. We used all of the recommended materials and everything to do the platform, and we made sure we did the measurements properly so that the platform was leveled by the time the yurt gets ready to go up. That's the other thing we did.
I love that. And I just shared some photos in the chat, so feel free to click through those. But one of them is the platform in there, and you'll see the tubes for the platform and the foundation. Another thing I'll mention is that, to Sherry's point, on our website, we have our download section where we have a
Mhm.
plethora of information, including those platform plans. And when it comes to budgeting, that's something you can always do is on page 8 of the platform plans, you're going to have the materials list. And we always recommend like take that to your hardware store, lumber yard, and get a quote to figure that out to
Mhm.
really plan the whole budget of the project. And another kind of announcement from Pacific Yurts is we actually now offer the platforms themselves and the installation of the platform and the yurt installation. So Gigi, you missed on that. It's a new thing for us, but for everybody else listening, that is a really fun thing and really important thing that we are now offering. Is It's huge to our clients because,
Mhm.
to Gigi's point, the platform is pretty important. As with any structure, it's from the ground up that you got to focus on.
Absolutely. And I have to tell you that when the yurt was going up in March, the person who put the yurt up for me um, gave me some good consolation to my cousin and I that we did a good job, that it was solid and it was well built. And so I was relieved to hear that, just making sure that we did a good job and that the foundation was good.
Love that. Well, and in terms of the build, I mean, some of our clients, they'll build it themselves, have a little yurt raising party, a couple pizzas, beverage of choice. But you said you found a contractor. Like, how did you find a contractor, and what was that process like working with them?
So originally, my cousin, after we got the platform done, he said, "Sherry, you think we can put the yurt up?" And we looked at the instructions and we read it over and over and over again. I'm a physical therapist by profession, so I'm in healthcare. And although I'm around people, I worked with engineers, I worked with contractors all the time. After the two of us looked at it, I said, "Robert, I don't think we can do this. And so I'm going to call and see if I can find somebody professionally to put this up." And then I said, "I've invested so much money. why would I cut corners? And so I'm going to make that suggestion that never cut corners with reference to the yurt, because I think you'll have some problems down the road. About 15, 20 minutes ago, I did tell this person, Dan Elder was the person I was able to find there in Oregon. He told me how much it would cost. I said, okay, deal. He sent me the contract and he was on his way. I can't begin to tell you how happy I made the decision to use him, because I feel totally secure that everything is done properly, including the dome, because you can have issues with the dome leaking in the future. So I think that investment to have Dan Elder come down to put my yurt up was the best decision I could have made. I have absolutely no concerns with reference to the yurt because of that. So he put it up for me.
I love hearing that. So Dan Elder, everyone, feel free if someone on the team could drop. He's somebody that has done quite a few builds for our clients. While he's not a Pacific Yurts employee, he's a great contractor that's out there. But if someone could drop that his website link in the chat, I think that'd be great as well. So great to hear that experience. And quick note,
Yes,
Dan, I think it's pretty great. I think him and his wife are going to move to Hawaii soon, but
that's correct.
yeah, but what's great is what they've done for years is they travel across the states building yurts. So not only is he good at what he does, he's having fun doing it, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
that's
Absolutely.
fantastic. Okay,
Yes.
great. Well, one of the things I would love to hear about too, and we chatted a little bit about this when we were kind of teeing this up before, but your shower. You mentioned humidity. And so tell us about the decision for where that shower is going, what that looks like. Would love to hear about it.
So as I said before, I downloaded all of your information, and while people probably are watching TV in the evenings, I was on Pacific Yurt's website looking at all of the downloads, trying to figure out what I was doing and making sure that I was following all the instructions. And one of the things it talked about was to keep the humidity down, and so that you prevent the growth of algae and mold and things like that. And it made a recommendation maybe to put the shower outside, and to go, oh, that might be cool. So I took to YouTube again and to the internet and started looking at the possibility of outdoor showers. And I saw these beautiful showers that came up. So I sent a picture to the contractor who was going to do the work, and I said, can you build this? And he said, absolutely, I can. And so that's how I made the decision. I have the full bathroom inside, but I decided to put the shower outdoors. And that has become such a fun thing that I've done, to have it outside. And so it's right on the back part of the deck. It's only, what, 10, 12 feet away. And I have a wonderful time. And even though it's chilly there right now, I think it was a great idea to put the shower outside. I'm having fun with it, actually.
That's awesome. And if I remember correctly, your friends and family kind of gave you a little side eye about that, right?
Oh yeah, they was like, Sherry, really? You putting a shower outside? So they talked about how our parents were forced to use the bathroom at our house when we were growing up, and they
Right.
go, and you're gonna purposely put a shower outside? I go, yeah, that's what I'm doing. But it's with all of the amenities of today's life, and so it was for good reasons that I decided to put it outside, to keep the moisture down inside the yurt. As a matter of fact, when I left yesterday, it was 60, the humidity was 60% inside the yurt, and I was told that's a comfortable area where I want
Yeah,
it. And so I think if I didn't have the shower outside, it might be a little bit higher as a result of the moisture being inside. So anyway, my family kind of teased me a lot about putting the shower outside, and they're all concerned about when they come visit. I'm not taking a shower outside. I'll say, I got something for you. I got it all
yeah.
set up for you.
Well, and you'd also mentioned the comfort around it. One, it's beautiful. I think I dropped a picture in it. If not, someone in the team could drop one in. But beautiful stone shower, good size, and you've got, is it towel warmers, right?
I have towel warmers both on the inside of the yurt. So you can put the towel, you put a robe. I have special slippers, and then I have a robe that's warm, and then a towel on the inside of the door right as you walk out. So when you walk out, you put it on, it's warm. When you get to the shower, there's also a warmer inside the shower. And so when you
Nice.
finish taking your shower, you have a warm robe and warm towel there to walk back inside the yurt, both sides.
No, I
Yes.
love that. I mean, At my house, the shower's inside, and I don't have a towel warmer. I mean,
Oh,
that's so good on you for that. Love it. Love it.
yes.
Okay, well, let's see here. I'm just jumping and looking at questions real quick. Another clarifying question, the for the platform, that was you and your cousin who built that, correct?
That is correct.
And then Dan built the yurt. And
That's correct.
what about the interior, the decking around it? That was a separate contractor, correct?
That is correct. So, because I am so remote, I'm in an area called Brantley, Alabama, and it's very rural. Not a lot of choices there. And I'm from Florida. So I did have a contractor that worked with me with in my place over in Boca Raton, Florida. So I decided to ask him, I said, Edison, do you think you can come to my place in Alabama and possibly, do the interior and put my deck up that I want? So in 2024, last year, I flew him and his daughter to the yurt. And I said, is it possible you could take a look and give me an estimate on what it would cost in terms of the interior and also the yurt, the decking for the yurt? So he said yes. When he flew up, he said, absolutely, I can do it. He gave me the quote and I said, okay, it's a deal. I signed it. So he came from Florida and he was there over about a 10-day period. And I took time off of work to be there with him. And so he built the deck and he did the interior. Yep.
Okay.
Hmm.
Awesome. That's really cool. And working with people you know and trust is always big, especially when yeah, it's your home. Uh,
Yes.
okay, so when it comes to, we kind of talked on cost a little bit earlier when it came to clearing the land, and I know because how long ago did you finish the build, timeline wise?
Okay, so I finished the yurt went up in March,
Okay,
and in August, late August, early September was when the interior construction was completed and the decking. So I just finished it not long ago. So that was August, September, the last of August and the first part of September, everything was completed.
so 6 7 months for the whole process,
Hmm.
which really, or I should say, almost a year because you had the site getting cleared prior, right?
Yes.
But I mean, we have a lot of clients that they'll have the whole build for just the yurt. I mean, that could get done in a day, a weekend, depending on the features and site. But that's also something really important to consider is when it comes to the full project. Yurt might go up quick, but yeah, building out a bathroom, the shower, decks, etc., can take some time. We talked a little bit on cost earlier, but Gigi, is there a kind of full budget that you had going into this, or if you care to share again, you don't have to, but what was the whole process?
So I looked, in my research, my 2-year research before I pulled the trigger and decided to go. I had some idea of how much money it would cost, but I will tell you that I was very, very fortunate that I was not going to cut any corners whatsoever. And when I did the research and I saw something that was pretty or something that was comfortable, I wanted it. And so I decided to sell one of my properties that's in Michigan. I'm from an area called Bloomfield Hills, Michigan. I decided to sell my condo there. So by the time everything was said and done, I took that $67,000 and I invested it in my yurt. Every penny of it. Now you have to also consider I was traveling from Florida. I go there twice a month and I'll stay for 5 to 7 days and then I have to rent a car for that entire time. So some of that went into me traveling back and forth.
Right.
But I spent that entire 67,000 just for the interior was 40,000 for the bathroom, for the 2 rooms, the flooring and the decking, the outdoor shower. So that was 40,000 just by itself. And that was also making sure that he did the plumbing properly. He also put heat tape on my pipes. All of my pipes have a special tape on it, and it's electrical plug that's plugged into the yurt right now. So when the temperatures drop to a certain below a certain temperature, they click on to warm the pipes to prevent the pipes from
Oh, that's
bursting. Yeah.
awesome. Yeah.
So he was quite meticulous, and I don't know if you can see what the deck really looks like, but he did a phenomenal job with the deck. Everybody in the family saying the deck is everything.
Yeah.
Um, and the lumber, I want to say to you that when I started out 3 years ago, the cost of the lumber was very different. And so, because of the tariffs and things like that, it was very expensive to get the lumber, but I was not going to cut any corners whatsoever. And I wanted it done right. I wanted it stable and also to last. So that's
Yeah.
why I was willing to spend as much money as I did. So I spent the 40,000 for the interior. That includes the deck. I also have insurance right now, so I paid another $2,000, which is going to be an annual cost for the insurance. And then the yurt itself, I paid 37,765 for my actual yurt. And I know that the base cost is a little bit less, but I want to say that I have a lot of extras, like the windows and the insulation and the French doors on both sides. And so that's why my base was at 37,000.
And that's fair. I mean, when we, for our larger yurts, our largest is the 30 foot, right?
Mhm.
Even with what I kind of consider the standard features for comfort and just structural integrity, right? The snow and
Mhm.
wind kit,
Yes.
insulation, some windows, you're going to land around that 25 to 30 grand. But to your point, when it's like, no, I want nice glass windows, I want the French doors, I want the screen door, that those do add up. But relatively speaking, I mean, who gets to build a woodland retreat for
Oh,
less than 400,000 or 500,000, right? Like even
correct.
or potentially if it's a big one. So I'd say it was a steal of a deal all in. I mean, if I'm kind of
Mhm.
hearing everything, you had the 20,000 for site prep, 40
Right.
for decking and the build out,
Mhm.
37 for the yurt.
Mhm.
What about you mentioned all the utilities, like the issues there, like what or the how far away, they were. And when we were briefly chatting yesterday, you also talked about the thought around not just getting electrical and water to your yurt, but what could happen in the future with the family. So what was the rough cost there and what was your thoughts around, the future of this property for everyone?
That is correct. And so I want to say that if you are in a rural area and if your land is raw like mine, and also how far you have to connect from your main source, you have to consider that. And so my pipes had to go 700 feet and then the electric went 500 feet. It was, and then I had a cousin who decided I needed to go across his land about 3 feet across the corner of his land. And he decided to say no. He said, you need to
Oh,
find an alternative route to get to your yurt. It cost me an extra $7,000. So I paid $13,000 to put the electric, and then I paid another 5,000 to put the water.
oh,
And
yeah.
then so it was 7,000 extra because I had to go further east and I had to go further. I had to go around him in order. I had to call two cousins and I had to go across their property to get to the yurt because I couldn't go straight across at a diagonal. So they were very workable and they said, absolutely, Sherry. And so the other thing is the transformer for the electric sits on my property. And I decided that I wanted this to be a family affair. So if other family members like my yurt and decide they wanted to build, I put the infrastructure in for them to be able to tap into me and go further. Because as I told you, 52 acres that's there, and I have 6.65. So the next cousin is the next 6.65. So she would run her power and her water from my transformer and from my plumbing area.
Paying it forward the family way. I like
Yes,
that.
that's correct.
Yeah. And are you hooked up to just because it's in the woods? Is it sewage wise, or is it a septic or public sewer, public water? What does that look like?
So it's public water, so I'm connected to the city, and I did put in a septic tank, and that's the only permit that I had to get was with the health department. They just did what they call a perk test to make sure that the sewage will drain in the proper direction. And they charge you based on the number of people that will inhabit the place. And so that's the only thing that I had to do. And with reference to plumbing, I am also in March of next year considering putting in a well. for longevity. So the well is 15,000 to put the well in. So I just kind of wanted, I'm kind of also preparing for the future if they decide they want to turn things off for us as people. I want to be
Okay.
able to have
Yeah.
permanent water. I also would like to tell everyone too, I have a natural creek that runs through my property. And unfortunately, we've had a family fight for 40 years because my uncle put my aunt at the end of the 52 acres, and there's no part of the creek that runs through her property. But I was pretty lucky. So I actually have I fetch water and I actually run it through the purifier to get the water. So I have a place to be able to get natural water on the property as well. So, but I'll have that. I have city water, and then I'm going to do the well as well next year.
I love it. That is fantastic. I mean, it's again, just creating your vision and putting it all together is just so fantastic. And I
Mhm.
mean, I kind of wish it was a rental because I'd love to add it to my list. It sounds
I,
fantastic. Well,
yes.
Sherry, I wanted to ask you just as we're kind of been chatting a bit, want to give you some of your day, but I'd love to hear, is there anything that we haven't touched on when it comes to the whole process that, for those that are early on just exploring or they're in the middle of a build, any tips or tricks or big learnings that you want to make sure everybody hears, and then we can open it up to Q&A.
One of the things that I will say is take your time. I say before you decide to get the yurt and start your bill, read all the instructions, download all of the material that they have, be familiar with the things that you need to do, everything from the dome to the installation to the snow kit to the foundation of putting the platform up. I say become familiar with all of those things before you start. Consider geographically where you're located. I am in an area called Brantley, Alabama. I am on a dirt road. It is a mile and a half to get to my yurt, dirt road. From the main 106, it's called Georgiana Highway 106. It's a mile and a half of all dirt road to get to me. The other thing is, I forgot about the gravel to tell you about the gravel. I had a truck bringing me some sand to start the platform build, and the truck got stuck. I had to pay $500 for him to be towed. I said, never again. So what I decided to do was bring gravel. For a load of gravel is $1,400. So I had 4 loads brought in and I created, and I don't know if you can see from some of the pictures, and I love standing at the top of the property, looking down into the woods. You'll see gravel on all of my roads. And that way, nobody ever gets stuck again coming to the yurt.
Right. I mean,
Yeah,
while that's expensive, you're
mhm,
helping yourself and whoever's there in the long run for sure. And
that's
it,
right.
I love that you referenced gravel. We had another customer spotlight recently, and gravel was a topic. Because
Yes.
if you're in those rural areas, to your point, if there's snow, water, etc., rain, like it's gonna get somebody's gonna get stuck, or that road is eventually gonna disappear and get rutted out. So again, thinking ahead of making sure that this is something that you can use in the long term and not have a headache. Um,
Yes. And that's the other
awesome.
reason why I left the terrain of my land when I cleared the trees. I'm really glad intuitively I felt that I wanted to leave it instead of making it all level. I think it was the best decision ever. Because when the water run off, my landscaper, he's very good at diverting the water. He knows how to, put certain things up to push the water away from the yurt. But because it's on the slope and the water runs down, I think it was a really good decision versus it settling where the yurt is and it's up on the platform very high. Like the top end is about 5 feet tall. And so I'm really glad that I did that. So I think um, that you want to consider the type of soil that you have. I'm also going to be doing farming. I have the Alabama Forestry Commission and the Agriculture Department that I'm working with. I'm putting up a high tunnel greenhouse that's next to the yurt itself because I'm vegan. That was one of the other decisions that I made to do what I did with reference to the yurt is because of my health and wellness lifestyle. And I wanted everything about what I did to be as close to nature as possible. I don't know if I had a couple pictures of my deer in there. That it's everything to me. I have trail cameras there so that I'm constantly watching it. It's going off right now. And all I
Oh,
can do is think about my yurt. I mean, I absolutely love my yurt. I really
oh,
do. Yes.
love
Oh,
hearing
I
that.
got to
Love
tell you a
hearing
joke.
that.
So
I love jokes.
when I order materials and supplies, Marvin's, Wyndham Lumber. So the joke in the town is, oh, it's the Yurt House. And when you say the Yurt House, everybody knows where that is.
The one
You
and
just say the
only.
Yurt House because I think I'm the first one in this part of Alabama. That's what I'm being told. So when you say Yurt House, everybody in the area knows where you're going.
That's awesome. Well, if anybody wants to do a drive-by, get down to Alabama, just ask
Yeah,
for the Yurt House. You'll get directions from everyone.
yeah,
Oh, that's good. Okay,
yeah.
let's take a peek at the questions here, see if there's anything we're missing.
Okay.
And while I'm peeking at that, Gigi, I there's been a lot of positive feedback. You've got fantastic photos. I would love to, if you don't mind, like you're on Yurt forum a lot, right? And different Yurt
Yes,
living,
yes,
Facebook. So
yes.
anybody out there, I mean, if you want to follow Gigi, which specific Facebook group should they join? Because this is a great resource for anybody who has questions as well.
So of course I'm on Pacific Yurts and then Yurt Living. Those are the two major ones where I am. My Facebook page is Gigi Baker. So if you want to follow me, because I do post a lot about the yurt itself of recent days. As a matter of fact, yesterday I made the announcement that I will have this interview with you guys, and then I put 27 pictures of my place there as comments. And so all those pictures are there. You can follow me. And I'll be willing to answer any questions. I'm usually over in Messenger a lot because people they directly message me there, and I'm always willing to answer your questions. I think it's one of the best decisions I made out of sight of going to college was to get this shirt
That's
because I'm
great.
so happy with it. I'm really happy, and I'm glad that I went with specific yurts because the team there extremely supportive. Even if I had, and when I had questions about the construction or what do I do about this, there was always somebody there. Tammy was really good at helping me, and if she couldn't answer it, she'll get me in touch with whoever was there to help. And so the team there is very supportive, and I'm just really, really grateful. By the way, when I got the yurt and when it was delivered, I wasn't quite ready to put it up. So I had to store the yurt at a friend's house for over 6 months. And had to make sure that the rodents didn't get to it and things like that. So along the way, my journey, I've had a lot of people just being supportive and helpful. So I'm just glad I finally got to this place of just enjoying it. So now when I visit, I just get to enjoy the yurt now versus working, 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 trying to get
Yes.
things done.
Well, and part of the Yurt community or the Yurt family. I mean, yes, Gigi, you're one of many, but that's what I just want to say. On those Facebook groups, Yurt forums, anything like that, people are really helpful. I mean, they get excited, they want to share. So thank you so much for offering that to everybody here.
Absolutely.
That is just so great. Well, fantastic. I think we're about there, and I don't see any other questions coming in. If I'm missing anything, please drop it in. Looks like the Yurt Living Facebook group was just dropped in the chat, so feel free to click on that and join. Ask Gigi questions, see her pictures. After this, we will Pacific Yurts team will send out the recording as well as links if you want to schedule some time with Tammy, who worked directly with Gigi, or myself. Tammy works a lot with our clients that do exactly what Gigi's doing, looking to live in their yurts, use them for personal usage. And well, she's fantastic. So definitely hit her up and get some time on her calendar, even if it's just to ask some questions and learn how to start the process. We're here to help out.
Yes.
But yes, thank you all so much for being here. Thanks for participating. Gigi, you're fantastic. And
Thank you.
I hope everyone has a yurtiful day.
Yes, I love it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. All right.
Mhm.
Love you,
Thanks
Gigi.
all.
Thank you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Have a good one. Bye bye.
Bye
Thank you,
bye.
Miss Gigi. Really appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome anytime.
Blessings in your new home.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
All right, I'm going to close it out. Thanks, everybody. Bye bye.
Bye
All right, Gigi,
bye.
talk to you soon.
Okay.